All right, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Toon podcast. We are the Southern Hemisphere's best, only, and original Newcastle United dedicated podcast. And tonight, I've got Mark joining me as we do a preview of the up-and-coming Everton game at Goodison Park this Friday morning for us. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing really well, apart from choking myself just on the intro there. Yeah. Look, I think still haven't come down from the Spurs game yet, so it's hard. It's hard pacing myself, but luckily the games are coming thick and fast right now, and the long wait we had to put things right after the Villa debacle is now at least sort of. We've got another one coming straight up, so we can get back into football while we're all still a little bit excited.
Yeah, the excitement from that Spurs victory just hasn't died down at all. The club's putting endless content on their social media, everyone sharing their own videos when they're at the game live and everything like that. And it was just the perfect storm of how the game went. I know this is going to be a preview of the Everton game, but we have to touch on this a little bit. What was your overall summary of that game, Mark?
Mental, absolutely bonkers. It's just, you kind of got to the end of that game and it didn't seem real. It was kind of like you sort of thinking, hang on, I'm not even sure if I'm like celebrating properly anymore. Like when the sixth goal went in, it was like, yeah, we just got another one. It was like, what the hell? It kind of like really fizzled out at the end, didn't it? It fizzled out. It was like no more goals in the second half, and then we score one. It's just like, oh yeah, okay, cool. No, I just couldn't believe it. I mean, it's the sort of thing that just doesn't happen to us. I remember the one that was Bobby Robson's first game in charge when we were bottom of the table, and Sheffield Wednesday, wasn't it? Yeah, and we won that 8-0. Shearer got 5, but that was kind of bottom of the table clashes, and we got taken over by an absolute top draw manager who got the best out of us, got a reaction, got Shearer playing well again. This was just different level. I mean, it was to do that against a team that in the build-up we were all absolutely crapping ourselves about, because we were hyping this game up, let's be fair, as this make or break for our season. It was going to tell us how the players reacted after the Everton result, after the Villa result, and then Eddie Howe comes out in his press conference and starts going, yeah, it'd be rude not to start talking of Champions League. And yes, this is probably the biggest game of the club. It's like, oh, cheers, Eddie. It's like really needed that. So yeah, just to have that result come out the way it happened against a club that was supposedly vying for a Champions League spot with us. Just kind of just struggle for words with it. It's just magic. I can't remember how many times I've watched the replay of all of the goals and
it was just that first 21 minutes was just nothing but euphoric as far as I'm concerned. Lisa came out, and my wife had to come out and check on us. Whatever time it was, I think it was like around about would have been 11:15, give or take, as the third and fourth goal went in thereabouts. And she was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "We're 5-0 up and we're only 20 minutes in." And she was like, "What do you mean? We're 5-0 up and we're only 20 minutes in." I thought something was wrong. That's how excited I was. I mean, I wasn't Dimmy level of excited when we shit around my head and whatever.
No.
Yeah, that was something else. But that game was epic, and it just raised our platform onto another level and just give the club the exposure it so badly needs to get a little bit of extra revenue, because the amount of eyes on that game would have been fantastic.
Exactly, yeah. So from an exposure point of view, I think that's done us the world of good. I think from sponsors and overseas TV and everything, it's the big tick of approval we probably needed in one of those top games. But look, I mean, I know we've been on our group chat and we've been sort of slating some of the media, and the Optus commentary here in Australia was just so dismally kind of upset that we'd done that to Spurs. They were clearly gutted. They wanted Spurs to win by no shred of kind of trying to hide it. But it's kind of like, yes, Spurs were shit, but like, let's not take that away from the fact that we were absolutely magnificent. Like, you could run out of superlatives trying to talk about how good our players were. And yeah, okay, look, the Spurs defense maybe wasn't at the races, but we exploited the gaps. We exploited them not being organized. And the big thing for me is like everything we did just came off. And we've been saying this for months and months now, where we've got these games where we come out of them thinking, oh, you know what, we could have put like 2 or 3 more on there, and you know, all the XG wanker t-shirts coming out and saying, yeah, we're gonna hammer a team at some point this season. And I don't think any of us thought it was going to be Spurs. But you know, every single thing that we did, I mean, when Murphy's taking on like a 40-yard shot and just like places it into the top corner, it's just like the keeper doesn't even move. It's those things where this is just, I'm going to soak this in and enjoy every second of this, because this stuff does not happen very often.
It was genuinely the perfect storm, and it was fantastic. I'm loving every minute of it. But we'll move on from that, and we'll now get on to the Everton preview. But again, just before we do, you'll notice both me and Mark have gotten you Twitter handles if you are returning viewer of the podcast and follow us on their socials. Reason being is, some reason, 3 of the 7 members of the pod had our account suspended on Twitter for whatever reason that may be. But we have got new Twitter handles. You can see them on screen now. If you are listening and on the audio side of it, my new Twitter handle is @ToonLad85, and Mark's is Scotty Talks Toon. So give us a follow.
Scotty with a Y, because I ran out of letters.
There you go. But yeah, give us a follow and we will follow you back. And if you don't already, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a 5-star comment in the audios if you can as well. Leave your comments down below. We love interacting with our fans, and you can see the interaction we had with everybody over the Spurs win. It was absolutely glorious. And now we will dive into this Everton review. So, game kicks off for us, Mark, at, 4:45 this Friday morning. So it's a 7:45 p.m. kickoff in the UK. Live on BT Sports, live on Optus Sports here in Australia. I'm a little bit apprehensive about this game. I've made it quite vocal in the chat that we've got, our little private chat. And I think it may be based on how the game went down last season, and a few little pre-match nerves are starting to kick in. But I kind of had the same with Spurs, and we know how that went. What's your initial impression of how this game could go, and do you have any pre-match nerves regarding it?
I think it comes down to, for me, to how we react after that result. It's like this is going to be as much of a test of player character to get themselves back up for this game as much as the Spurs game was after the Villa loss. To have such an atmosphere at home, to go away from home and not have that. I mean, we all know that the away fans are going to be absolutely fantastic. They always are. But it's still an away game. It's pretty quick after the Spurs game. You know, the games are coming thick and fast at the moment, thanks to the World Cup. But yeah, I've definitely got nerves. I've definitely got nerves, because you don't know how the players are going to pull up after that game, physically or mentally. I mean, Bruno was limping a bit in that game as well. But realistically, Everton are shit. And to me, Everton are what Spurs are without Harry Kane. They're unorganized. They're not scoring goals. They've got a crap defense. They had a decent defense under Lampard, I have to say, but just weren't scoring goals. They're starting to kind of ship a few more goals, but don't seem to be scoring anymore. They definitely have some problems. I'm hoping that we've just got enough quality. We've got players who are bang on form at the moment. The confidence is high. So we should win, but as you said, it's like there's a few nerves just as to the unknown factors, I think, more than anything, and how we deal with those.
Yeah, and it was based off the game last year at Goodison Park, which was around about a similar time frame, if I remember. We lost 1-0. I think it was a goal in the 96th minute. There was a stupid amount of added on time because of that bloke who cable tied himself to the goalpost, which just totally derailed our momentum, and I think that's the reason what cost us the game. But from where we and Everton were at that stage last season compared to where both teams are now, it's literally black and white, isn't it, Mark?
Oh, for sure. I mean, we're on an upward trajectory. I think we were riding a high at that point last season, where we were starting to kind of try and create some form, but this season we've carried that on. We've played well, and I don't care what people are saying. You read on social media, people are claiming, oh, it's all about the money. It's like, oh, Eddie Howe's done a decent job, but they wouldn't be where they are without spending loads. And it's like, well, yeah, so's every other club up there. Spurs have spent more than us, and they're shit. So, like, let's give us a little bit of credit that we aren't just punching above our weight anymore. We deserve to be where we are. And Everton deserve to be where they are, and they're in serious trouble. And it's not just the fact that they're in relegation problems. I mean, they've got financial fair play stuff hanging over their head as well, which probably can't be sitting easy. The fact that they've lost a manager already this season, there's definitely some issues behind the scenes in terms of how they're going to go forward, what type of plans they've got to go forward, I guess, if anything.
Yeah.
They've got this new stadium that's getting built, and who knows how they're going to pay for that either. And you kind of think it's like as I said, there's so many parallels to Spurs in terms of that they've spent big money on bad players and bad coaches, and they don't seem to have a long-term plan, which I think is the biggest plus point for me about our owners is that, yes, they're trying to fix the here and now, but we're trying to build a long-term sustainable future for the club by putting the academy in right and trying to develop younger players through as well. And Everton's just got none of that, and they're literally on a slide, and it's hard to kind of see where that goes next season, even if they do manage to scrape staying up.
Yeah, like they've, if anything, they may have went backwards rather than being stagnant. We went to another level and then some, and it's all down, like you said, to the backroom staff, to Eddie and his team, the players all rowing in the same direction. And I, for one, am so glad we went on the trajectory we have, because it could have been so easy to do the same thing as what Everton have done. And we could be doing the same thing as where we were last season, fighting it out for points to avoid relegation. Whereas at the moment, we're sat in third, they're sat third bottom. And to me, that just put a massive smile on my face, purely on the fact that, again, it could have went all drastically wrong, and we could be, I don't know, Southampton at this stage. Who knows?
Do you not feel that if you look at the likes of Everton and how they've handled it, and probably Sunderland to a certain extent when they got their new owner came in with all these big singing and dancing plans, and do you not feel it's like these are kind of successful businessmen in their own right? They come into these clubs not really ever knowing being second best, and they think it's going to be, all right, we're going to throw some money at this, and then it doesn't go right, and then they've kind of run out of money to throw at it, and everything goes a bit tits up. I think there's there's definitely some parallels to how Sunderland went on, where their owner spent a fortune, bought a load of crap. Roy Keane bought a load of crap for them. And then, he decided, well, this isn't going anywhere. This is not what I wanted. I'm kind of like pulling the plug, and I can see Everton going down the same route with their owners. They've spent a fortune. They've clearly dodged financial fair play from what we're seeing in the papers, and they've tried to write off as much as they can to COVID losses, but even that was dodgy as. Yeah, I think if they go down, obviously there's going to be some major issues financially for them. But even if they stay up, I mean, are the owners going to continue paying for stuff? Are they going to invest in the club even more? I mean, are they going to be allowed to buy anyone without selling loads of players? So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, it really will. And this game on Friday morning for us, I do think we're going to see again those two parallels coming into effect. We're going to be obviously bang on form. We've only lost one game in 6, I think it was. Obviously, that was the away defeat to Villa. Everton, they haven't won a game since March the 11th. That was at home to Brentford with a 1-0 win there. Now, in terms of lineups, and which we're just going to get to now, and I'll bring the Everton lineup first, them being the home team. Now, I've got this lineup from Twitter, just literally scrolling through, and found some bloke who put on his desired starting 11. So this is it right here. Just get rid of this ticker. I'll just run through with that there. So we've got T-Rex in goal. Now, this back four, this may change. Godfrey, Tarkowski, Keane, and Coleman. Now, Coleman might be the one that changes because he currently has a hamstring injury now, so he will go through a late fitness test. And then it looks as though they're going to go potentially with a packed out midfield with a modified 5-man midfield. So we've got McNeil on the left. Onana, again, he's another late fitness test, so he may be swapped out for another player, depending on how that goes. Guy, I think that's how it's pronounced. Decore, who's now back from suspension. And Iwobi with Calvert-Lewin up top. That 11 there, does that strike fear in you at all, Mark? Anybody there which you think could do any harm to us?
Look, Calvert-Lewin, I think he's always dangerous. I think he is capable of a very good game if he doesn't like snap in half before he gets to that. I mean, his injury record's absolutely abysmal, it has to be said. But look, I think Coleman, if they miss him, I think he'll be a big miss for them. I think he is a good player for them. Tarkovsky was a weird one because we were supposedly after him. He's gone there because they paid more money. And like they did with a lot of the players that they ended up getting over us last season, they've kind of like overpaid to secure the players. We've dodged a bullet because they're obviously mercenary players who don't really give a crap, and they're not quite as good as maybe they think they are. And I think Tarkovsky's like been this really weird one where, you know, he was borderline getting into the England squad, and then he's made the move to Everton, and he's been woeful this season for them. But I don't know if they've got anything else. Obviously, look, it's an away game, so T-Rex is probably not going to have his usual hissy fit against us, like he would have if he was at St James's and the crowd's on his back for the entire time, and inflatable dinosaurs are running around the stadium like they did last time, which was hilarious. But look, I mean, there's no one in that side that like you're literally going, well, they're it's not like what we had with the Spurs game where you go, look, Kane's always going to score. You know, you give him half a chance, he's going to score. There's no one like that. I mean, as I said, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's probably the closest to that where he might pose a danger, but if they go into that with like a 5-man midfield trying to stifle us, you can see them dropping pretty deep pretty quickly, which again isn't our strong suit. And that's probably my only worry, is that if they start with their, you know, the famous low block, I think that could potentially be the only thing that I'm a bit worried about.
The one thing that I'm actually looking forward to is if Coleman does start, is Coleman will effectively be up against Joe Linton. Now, Joe Linton is playing like a man possessed right now. And Coleman, I think he's eligible for a free bus pass now. I think he's at that age. So that should be an interesting lineup there. However, again, with this lineup, again, which I stole from Twitter, they've got Iwobi as potential cover. I think he's their paciest player, and he's got that upper body strength as well. So bringing him on to that what would effectively be our left-hand side to give protection for Coleman. Like I say, he's not the quickest, he never has been, and his legs are pretty much gone now. So that could be a potential interesting one there. Joe Linton up against Iwobi. And on the other side,
it's probably more Iwobi against Dan Burn for the pace element that I think I'd probably be more concerned about.
Fair point now. Yeah, that's it. That is an interesting one. Iwobi has got some legs, and he did score the winner last season as well in the same fixture. On the other side of defence, their left back, Godfrey. Now, I don't know if you watched the Man United Everton game a few weeks ago at Old Trafford. Basically, Godfrey was subbed at half time because Anthony, who we know you couldn't hit a cow's arse with a banjo from 2 paces out, he literally had him on toast that game. He was absolutely awful. It was just literally throwing long balls over the top, and his pace was beating him everywhere. And he spent most of the game on his arse, subbed at half time, and that kind of helped Everton's cause in terms of defensive stability. So that could be a weakness on their other side as well, their left and right side of defense. But again, right, if they pack out midfield, that is where I think the game is going to be won and lost. We've genuinely got the quality in Bruno. Sean Longstaff is, again, like a man on fire right now. He's having a cracking season. And Willock, if he can put another Super Bowl in like he did it for Isak's goal, then, you know, that's going to be another one for the history books. And Jack will be walking around with a permanent erection for the rest of his life, I think. That was Jack's favourite assist of all time, that one, by the way. And
Yeah.
yeah, Calvert-Lewin, he's got 5 goals and 1 assist in 11 games against us. So I wouldn't exactly call it prolific, but he's better than most. I think it's probably only Harry Kane who's got a better goals to game against us in the league right now. But yeah, T-Rex in goal. He always likes a good game against us, and he will get stick from the away fans for obvious reasons. There will no doubt be inflatable dinosaurs there, but the stewards will confiscate them as soon as they are seen, I'd imagine. But we'll get
Yeah.
onto the Newcastle lineup now. So this one is just literally a carbon copy of the team that absolutely annihilated Spurs. On paper, going head-to-head 11 against 11, we should absolutely annihilate them with the quality on the paper. You think, Mark?
Oh, for sure. I think it's worth pointing out at this point as well how much that this side, if you looked at this, like the players that are in there, and I know a lot's been made of this, like 2 years ago, if you'd seen that side and you had kind of like Shah and like, you know, Longstaff and Murphy and Joe Linton, you know, you'd be sitting there going like, oh, it's going to be tough. It's like we're going to struggle against Everton. The way everyone's playing right now, that should be a walk in the park. And I just hope that the players are switched on enough to work hard off the ball and on the ball like they did against Spurs to make that result. And they don't think, well, this should be easier because it's only Everton and it's not Spurs. That's the only concern. Look, if Everton do start sitting deep, one thing that that does frustrate me is our lack of threat from set pieces. I can't remember the last time we've scored from a corner. We don't seem to be very good at taking a shot from outside the box either, like very often. Hopefully Murphy feels he can grab another one if he gets the space, or Shah makes one of his trademark runs up the pitch and dials one into the top corner again. But look, realistically, we should have enough quality the way we're playing. And it's not being arrogant to say that. I think the way we are playing, everyone's on fire. Joe Linton's a man possessed. Bruno's probably been our quietest player, and he's still pulling the strings in midfield.
Yeah.
And that's got to be scary for pretty much any side we come up against at the moment.
Absolutely. And with Bruno and Trippier getting a well-earned rest, I think it was on about the hour mark against the Spurs game. They should be a little bit fresher than a few of the legs on there. One potential injury concern, and I haven't seen an update on this, so hopefully you can fill me in on this one, Mark. Fabian Schär went off with what looked like maybe a hamstring pull. Have you heard any update on that at all?
I haven't actually heard anything about that. I know Bruno's been playing through an ankle injury the last few games, and he did look like he was limping, but he doesn't seem to ever want to come off. So, you know, hopefully he's had another couple of days to rest up on that. Schär didn't seem like he wanted to come off at first, and then he did, and that turned out that it was Lascelles not really being ready to come on or something weird like that. Look, Fabian Schär has been such an instrumental part of that back four. It'll be back five, you would say, with Pope in there as a sweeper keeper. Yeah. I think we will miss him. I really do. But yeah, it's been all quiet on the Western Front in terms of updates about that. So yeah, let's keep an eye on it.
So if Dimmy's best mate Lascelles does start, would that give you any concern? Or are you happy with how Lascelles has played when he has came on, albeit in very small, short parts?
He's never going to be the same player as Fabian Schär. He's never going to be a ball playing centre half. Let's be honest. So we lose that threat. And when you look at the ball that Schär put through for Joe Linton's goal against Spurs, I mean, and that's the second time he's done that now. So it's not a fluke. You know, you take that out of that squad, you're never getting anything even remotely like that from Lascelles. It's like you just want him to kind of but all he needs to do is just do the basics. He needs to just get in there, like put himself in the line of the ball, defend well, put it out for a throw in if he needs to, you know, head the ball clear from set pieces. That's all you need from him. He doesn't need to be anything that he's not. And he can do that. I mean, he's not going to be comfortable on the ball, but don't let him have to do that. It's the same as what we said the other week when Nick Pope's having a few little wobbles when the ball's being kicked back to him. It's like, well, stop giving the ball to him then and give him a break. You know, don't kick the ball to Lascelles when he needs to be skillful on the ball. Just make sure you kind of ask him to be like a very traditional centre half, and then the rest of the team, that's where your creativity and everything's going to come from.
If Lascelles does start, do you reckon he's going to get a fair bit of protection from Longstaff, who may just play a few yards in front of him, just to make sure he's not maybe a little bit rusty with having a lack of game time, and drop back into effectively a central defensive role?
I'm not even sure that Eddie Howe will be thinking that way. I think he will expect that Lascelles is fit enough to play. I think he'll expect him to be well drilled enough from the training ground. I don't think he'll start trying to kind of cover his centre halves by changing what Longstaff's been doing for us. I mean, Longstaff does that anyway to a certain extent, so it's not, I don't think we have to change anything up in there. I think him and Bruno give the defense plenty of cover as it is.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll go with that one. So I'm just going to drop them off the screen there. So we're going to move to the league table now. Now, I am going to show some pornography on the screen with this league table. So brace yourselves, everybody that is watching right here. This is, again, pure filth, as Newcastle United are sat in third place. Tell me that gets you excited, Mark?
Yeah, that's pretty good. You cannot look at that and not get excited. I mean, I know we've got like an extra game over Man United, but still, it's like that gap to Spurs, the gap to Villa, the gap to Liverpool. I mean, Brighton's probably the one that I'd be most concerned about in amongst that. Liverpool's got a pretty easy run of fixtures coming up, so they're not out of it yet, but that goal difference, that points total, yeah, you gotta be excited about that. And even though we shipped 3 goals against Villa, still sitting there with the best defense record in the league.
Yeah, by some margin as well, which is pretty decent. And looking at our opposition for this game, again, Everton sat down in 18th place. They are in the relegation zone, 28 points, just on goal difference, however. But there is a game in the early hours of this morning which does pose potential threat for them. Leeds play Leicester. That is a huge game in the significance of the relegation dogfight. Now, if Leeds were to win that, they would then push 4 points clear of the relegation zone, literally creating a bit of daylight between the bottom 4, effectively, let's say, because, again, Leicester are far from out of it because, again, they're only just out on goal difference. Now, in terms of that bottom 3, I'd probably say Southampton are all but gone. We may put one of the nails in the coffin next week when we play them at St. James's Park. Forest, they're in with a shout. Again, they're only a point away. But you'd probably say if Leeds get this win, they might be okay. Leicester, touch and go. They've got some tough fixtures. But of those bottom 5 teams, who's your 3 to go down?
The Leeds Leicester game is going to be really intriguing, actually, and I don't really, as much as I think we're all kind of partially wanting Everton to go down just to see what'll happen, if nothing else. But yeah, look, I don't want Leeds to get any momentum or any kind of confidence up when we got to play them still. I want to win the next game that we have a meetup for, so that's the next early kickoff, and so I want to break our duck with that one. So yeah, keep them down, but I suspect that the bottom 3 as they stand, Southampton, Forest, and Everton, will be the 3 to go down.
Now, I'm surprised you picked Everton to go down because, as far as I remember, everybody wants Everton to stay in this league, don't they?
The media, everyone does. Yeah, apparently the media love child or something at the moment. They can do no wrong. Their fans throw flares on the pitch and they don't get any kind of any reprimands whatsoever. They get pitch invasions and no one says anything. Their fans are basically throwing stuff at opposition fans and no one's saying anything, setting off flares and fireworks outside of people's hotels, and it's just got good fun and games and it's just for a laugh. Yeah, for me, like they've done so much that just I want them to go down. I just want them out of the league. And the fact that no matter what happens, the media are always defending them. Yeah, I can't bother with that anymore.
Now, there is one person who we haven't really mentioned in this, because he's been making bit part sub appearances, and one of them had a little hissy fit when he got resubbed on the Brentford game. That's our good friend Aaron Gordon, as Keegan keeps calling him. Now, if he was to come on, because I don't think he's going to start this game, I think maybe a bit too big of an occasion for him to come on. If he was to come on, score what could effectively be the winner, and he shushes the Everton fans, now, that would probably be moment of the season for everybody out there, you reckon? That, to me, that would just be absolutely amazing for him.
Given the amount of stick that he's got since the move, even before the move, given how much everyone's been doubting him, like for him to come on and score, like if he scores the winner, but even if he just comes on and puts one in the back of the net just to kind of seal the game off, yeah, that's just going to be priceless. The reaction from the Everton fans, I think, will be worth that goal alone. He's obviously going to get booed massively when he comes on the pitch. And, you know, yeah, okay, look, maybe starting him takes him out of the firing line a little bit, but it doesn't matter. I mean, every time he touches the ball, the fans are going to boo him. He's going to know what sort of an occasion this is. This is probably one of those games where you'd probably not put him on if you could, just to kind of say, look, don't deal with it. Yeah, and he does need to grow up a little bit, as we've discussed lately, with his little petulant spat when he got subbed, and he's had a few like interviews and stuff where he maybe hasn't painted himself in the best light that he could have since his move.
Yeah.
But you know, he's young, he's impetuous, he wants to play, he's got some fire in him. So look, for me, yeah, get him on, get him a goal, and watch the fireworks unfold.
I just want him to stand there in front of the Everton fans, just go,
look,
do the whole fingers and ears type celebration.
I don't think he will. I'd be very surprised if he does. I mean, he is an Everton fan by all accounts, and
yeah,
you know, I don't think he's wanting them to go down, obviously. So, but it just got too much for him there. I think it'll be great for him to score, just to silence some of the critics, or at least get, like, you know, have a good game when he comes on, get an assist maybe even, just to kind of like prove a point that, you know, he has got a bit more to his game than what everyone's giving him credit for.
Well, there's certainly no love lost between the player and the club, because
No.
the split between was far from amicable. And that little statement that Everton put out when they announced his departure, can't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't exactly a case of fond farewell. You know, you've been a fan since childhood, that type of thing. It was basically a case of, okay, piss off, we're washing your hands of you type thing. So he's got to feel a little bit angst against that, and I hope he does try and prove them wrong. He again gets goal, gets assist, even if he just puts in a decent shift, and you know, he gets the odd tackle in, he gets the crowd going off their feet, our fans anyway, and he then goes around and applauds the away fans. Because again, I think there'll be a lot of angry Everton fans there seeing him in a black and white shirt. I mean, why wouldn't you? He's again,
I mean, hopefully the big thing is just he needs to keep his head, doesn't he? You know,
he does.
Let's not get a red card because he's flying into tackles or anything.
Now, one other thing I just want to talk about before we go into the last slide is, where has this potential rivalry between the two clubs come from over the last few years? Because it's never really been anything, has it? It's kind of like the same with Aston Villa.
Yeah, it's the Villa and Everton rivalries that seem to either be the Villa one definitely stems from the Sob on the Tyne thing when we got relegated. That is purely and simply where that one comes from. There is a little bit of the Villa rivalry coming off the back of them feeling that they need to prove that they're a bigger club than us. We're kind of, well, we're a bigger club than you. Don't get the crowds, blah 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 blah. Like, you know, look, let's be honest. There is a bit of a rivalry there, and I see where that one's coming from. The Everton one, I just don't get at all. It's like there's literally no history between the clubs. There's literally no reason why there's this argy-bargy between them, other than either pure jealousy or like the media have been hyping things up because they're so desperate to have a rivalry for sales and what have you, because we were down with them. We were fighting relegation, and we were one of those clubs in and around them season on season for the last few years, and now we've kind of like skipped out of that further up the table, we've got bigger fish to fry, so to speak. And but yeah, I just don't get why it's such a big thing. I mean, obviously Pickford is going to be that driving force, I think, for the Newcastle fans. And
it's certainly a catalyst anyway, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah.
Definitely on that one. Let's hope he forgets his gloves or anything in this one, because there's nothing I love better than seeing Pickford crying close to tears.
Yeah.
I remember the game, I think it was in the COVID season when we beat them 2-1 at Goodison. I think it was Callum Wilson's debut season for us. He scores 2, and there's just that famous picture of Pickford looking back towards a goal as the ball's heading for that bottom corner, and he just knows he's been beaten all down. And the fact of how the opposition were, it brought tears of joy to my eyes and tears of hate to his. It was absolutely glorious. But got one more slide to go through, then we're going to go through predictions and anything else that we feel like we should cover. So this one right here, it's a new little thing that we've got. Because we are an Australian-based Newcastle podcast, this is ever so neatly called Home and Away. Yes, and things will get better each day. And I'm sorry I got that pun in there. So this is basically Everton's home form versus our away form. So I'm going to start at the top and read them across. So both teams have played 16 games. Everton 16 home, we played 16 away. So Everton have won 5, drawn 3, lost 8. We won 7, drawn 6, lost 3. So their away form is exactly indicative as to where they are on the table. Would you agree, Mark?
Yeah, pretty much. You can't lose that many games, especially at home. Your home's got to be your fortress, and it definitely has been for us this season. And yeah, theirs has not been up to par.
Well, when you look, they've got, if my maths is correct, that's 18 points from 16 games. And we've got, 27 points from 16 games. Again, if my maths is correct. Was never my strong point at school. So our away form is superb. It's one of the best in the league, I believe. I think we are in the top 4 teams for away form on that one. Now, going on to goals scored and conceded. So Everton have scored 14 goals at home and conceded 20. So that's less than 1 goal per game, which, again, is shocking. Again, there's a reason why they are down where they are. We've scored 25 and conceded 15. Are you surprised at the amount of goals we've conceded away from home?
Not really, because usually when you're away from home, you'd probably try and be a little bit more defensive, and I don't think Eddie Howe knows how at the moment. For a manager, I mean, look, we've got a terrific record, and we're conceding less than a goal a game, so it's still a pretty good record. Given that 3 of those came against Villa, 2 of them came against Liverpool. You take those out, that's 10 goals in 14 games we've conceded. This pretty good record. And look, okay, you can probably say, look, 5 of those that we've scored came against West Ham as well. So it's all swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
I suppose, yeah. Now, discipline now. So Everton have received 33 yellow cards at Goodison this season and just the 1 red. We've had 28 yellow cards and 0 red. Now, discipline at home as well should be a major thing. You should never get that many yellow cards at this stage of the season, especially at home. All that's going to lead to is suspension at a very important part of the season. And they've just got Decorah coming back from that said thing there. Now, either that shows that they are disciplined in getting the first tackling and not getting in on the second because they've only had the red card, or they're a little bit reckless in the challenges. Which way are you angling towards that one, Mark?
I think it actually comes down to amount of possession that you have. If you're having a lot of possession in the game, then you're not chasing the ball. So you're less likely to be giving away needless cards. I mean, we give cards away because we're exuberant at chasing the ball down, I guess you would say. And look, we've had games where we've had less than the 50% possession, but if Everton are really conceding a lot of possession and then forcing the hand a little bit, then that maybe explains it. But you would expect them to be a little bit more disciplined than that at home, just because you're not wanting to kind of put yourself on the back foot with suspensions, with having to kind of walk that tightrope late in the game where your defender's got a yellow card already and can't make that saving tackle because he might get a second yellow or something.
Yeah, it's I think home form is where you've got to be most disciplined of anything because again, you've got to make that the fortress. Now, goals scored, 71% of Everton's goals, which equates to 10, have come from open play. Our for exactly the same open play form, we 68% of ours, 17 goals that is, have come from open play too. That to me speaks volumes of who plays the better attractive football. But again, on paper, that's obvious to see.
Oh, look, I mean, we've scored more goals. I'm surprised that we haven't had more goals from open play because we're awful at taking corners. Um, given how tall our side is, I'm really surprised we don't score more headed goals and more corners and set pieces. But you know, if you're taking into account some of the penalties that we've had, some of the crosses, some of the free kicks and stuff from Trippier, then yeah, it kind of makes a bit of sense.
Now, that actually angles quite nicely into the next one, which is Everton have only conceded 2 goals from set pieces in 16 games this season. You touched on our inability to score from set pieces. I'd imagine this is something that you're not going to be looking for in terms of creativity at this game at all, Mark?
I wouldn't have thought so. It's more, to be honest, what frustrates me more isn't just the fact that we can't score from set pieces. It's the fact that we get so many of them and can't score. You know, there's been games where we've been double figures of corners and haven't managed to score 1 goal from a corner. Surely, like, just out of the, you know, realms of someone's had a ball can like ricochet off their ass or something, you end up with 1 goal going in. But yeah, so yes, no, I am not hopeful of a set piece goal. Although I am hopeful that we can actually start to concede less from set pieces as well.
Yeah,
which early in the season was fine, but seems to be an issue of late.
It does, and again, we've actually conceded twice as many goals from set pieces away from home as what Everton have at home. So maybe a little bit of a cause for concern, but when you've only conceded 15 as opposed to their 20, again, percentages wise, it works out fairly similar, I suppose. And then possession, Everton have got an average of 44.8% possession at home, whereas we marginally tipping the scales at 50.1 possession away from home. Considering we like to kick the ball out of play and waste time, and we are the ultimate shit houses of the league, the fact we just have over the higher percentage of that kind of sticks 2 fingers up at that one, don't you think?
Well, I think the first 21 minutes of the Spurs game sticks 2 fingers up at that one. Look, I've said before, yeah, okay, look, every club does that. I think we're being singled out for it because of where we are on the table, and we're kind of raining on a lot of people's parade, and everyone's looking for excuses as to why we are where we are. And it's not because we're playing good football, it's because we're shithousing our way to the top and we're playing bad football, and, you know, we're time wasting, blah, blah, blah. Every single club wastes time if they need to win a bloody football game. It's what you do. I mean, look at Leeds when they came to St James's Park. I mean, that was awful. They literally just parked the bus for the entire game, wasted time, fell over at the first opportunity they could. You know, it happens. But, you know, at the moment, you know, we're actually doing well in terms of retaining the ball. We're having possession. We're looking to get on the front foot when we're dominating games. And if we're not dominating games, then we sit back and try and soak up pressure and see the clock out. It's what clubs do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at every club, if they're in a winning position, take the ball to the corner flag. Every single club. It's just something that happens in football. That is the definition of time wasting right there, in my opinion, and in probably everybody else's as well.
Yeah.
So what if you're going to put it out for a throw-in or anything like that, or you're just going to maybe a slow back pass to the keeper, whatever it's going to be, it's all effectively the same thing. We're all guilty of it. Some just do it a bit more than others. But we'll get rid of that one right there. But I think those stats there are pretty damning for both sides. Everton's are pretty much piss poor, apart from the goals conceded from set pieces. And ours, again, are very reflective of where we should be in the table as opposed to Everton. So, get rid of that one there. Another more big thing, prediction. Will some bloke from Stop Oil or whatever it was called come onto the pitch on the 63rd minute and cable tie himself to the goal again?
If he does, I just want Joe Linton to kick the ball right at his head.
Put Murphy on target practice. You know, he's good at hitting the post. Saying that, he's found the net and the last two, so you probably miss him anyway. But bit serious. And your overall prediction for this game, and I'll even get a first goal scorer off it. There's a bit of a change.
I'm going to go 2-0, and I am going to go Joe Linton.
Nice one.
He's on fire. He's on fire at the moment. So yeah.
I'm going to go 3-1. I can't say we're keeping a clean sheet. I just don't know why. We just can't seem to keep clean sheets recently. I'm going to say 3-1 in Isak with the first goal, because I think he will start ahead of Wilson again.
Yeah, no, I agree that I think he'll start.
Yeah, perfect. So that pretty much wraps it up for this Everton preview. If you have any questions for us, put them in the comments down below. If you like what we have done, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you are listening on the audio side of things, 5-star reviews and comments or questions are always welcome on that too. Again, give me and Mark a follow on our new Twitter handles. You will see them on screen. If not, again, mine is ToonLad85, and then we've got Scotty Talks Toon, Scotty with a Y, that is. Elon Musk is a bit of a dick for suspending our accounts, but I think the world knew that already. But again, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for everyone who's been listening. I've been Craig. Mark, thanks very much for joining me.
No problem. Enjoyed that. Thank you. And thanks for everyone for listening and watching.
Yep. We will see you on the next one, which will be a review of said game. That should be out Friday night for us, or
Friday night. Yep.
Friday night. So it'll be Friday morning for everyone in the UK or wherever you are watching the world. Again, thanks, Mark, and we will see everyone on the next one.
No worries. Take it easy, mate.
Cheers, mate.